All right, what's good, y'all? So, just finished the Frieza saga of Dragon Ball. If you don't know, I'm doing a whole series where I'm rewatching all the sagas in Dragon Ball Z. Saiyan Saga, Frieza Saga, Android Saga, Boo Saga. Since I haven't done that in a long time, yeah, in a very long time, and I wanted to see as a grown man now, is there some things that I didn't see as a kid? Or if I still have the same excitement watching them as I did when I was a kid. You know, some things you rewatch that you haven't seen in a while, and you're just like, I don't like that as much. Or, you know what, this is actually better. Or you just find some things that you never noticed. That's one thing that a lot of people are doing with Cartoon Network, and I didn't even notice till they posted it. It's some highly adult themes that was happening in the 2000s and 90s with Cartoon Network that I did not notice as a kid. As an adult, you're like, wow. But I wanted to see if there was anything of those natures that I noticed. And I must say, I said this before and I'll say it again. This is my favorite saga in all of Dragon Ball Z, and after rewatching it again, it remains the same. There is a lot in this saga that builds for the future, but also calls back to the previous sagas and even Dragon Ball. I mean, the growth of Gohan, Goku's ascendance, Vegeta's embarrassing descendant, and heartfelt. It was Vegeta. I'll get to that in a minute. Vegeta had a lot going on in this saga. I mean, he has a lot going on in all the sagas, but after the Saiyan saga, but this Frieza one, rewatching it, it was worse than I thought. Goodness gracious. But I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, I just want to share my thoughts on everything and share what I missed or what I like more or less. I'll start off with this because this will be really quick. I forgot all the side quests that Krillin, Gohan, and Bulma had. Which, by the way, for those who don't know the story, Bulma, Gohan, and Krillin are going to Planet Namek to get the Dragon Balls to wish their friends back who died in the Saiyan saga. And in the process of getting the Namek, a whole lot of chaos start. I'm just gonna leave it at that. You can watch the show for yourself. I'll just leave it at that. But that's what started the whole Frieza saga. So anyway, totally forgot about all the side quests that Gohan, Krillin, and Bulma had, and it actually was entertaining. I was watching it like it was my first time. I was like, and stuff was coming back. So I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. But that gets pushed so much under the rug that someone like me will forget about. I was like, dang, I haven't. That was something I haven't seen since I was a kid. Like usually with a Dragon Ball, I go rewatch certain parts in sagas. This was one I totally forgot. I was like, what is this? Why are we not at Planet Namek? There was one thing going on in space. There was another one where it was an illusion of Planet Namek, which that was interesting. And I was like, they went through some episodes before we even got to Planet Namek. But I must say, I don't want to lay on it too long, but it was entertaining. Surprising and entertaining. But then getting to Planet Namek, man, bro. First off, let me say this. I know they're not real, but the people of Namek, I am so sorry. Like I said, they're not real, so my apology means nothing. But bro, when you watch this saga and then you realize when you think of the history of Planet Namek, canon and non-canon, when you think about the sagas, then you think about the Revenge of Cooler, which is non-canon, and so on and so forth. Dragon Ball Super, when it's coming to, I think it's Moral. Yeah, Moral. It's like, bro, like the Namekians are one of the most nicest people in all of the Dragon Ball sagas. And yet they are the most bullied. Goodness, they cannot just catch a break and just have a life of peace. So much chaos happens in Namek. A lot of Namekians die for stuff that has nothing to do with them. Outsiders from long, all the way to Earth, which is far from Namek, and all these other planets are coming to their planet, destroying them. They're not powerful enough. They literally and that's the worst part too, is that like the Revenge of Cooler movie, if Goku didn't show up with Piccolo and all of Namek would have been destroyed. The same way with this saga. If it wasn't for the Earthlings and Vegeta being there and all that stuff, well, no, I'm sorry, remove Vegeta because Vegeta was the problem too. But the Namekians would die. Basically, they have no hero for them. All of them were punching bags. It was like, bro, and you felt so bad for the kids, the elders, the young adult ones, the nail, my brother. I salute you, because oh, dude, Nail, bro, like with his appearance at first, you think he's something strong and special. Then he fights Frieza, and yeah, you have to watch. Oh, bro, and I have the one that's not. I watched the my sagas are the ones that's not edited, so you see like blood and like other stuff that TV shows will cut out. Woo, nail, dang, bro. But that's how you feel for all of Namek. You like, dang, and it never stops when you think about Dragon Ball because it goes to Super and the moral arc, and it's like, can y'all leave Namek alone? Can y'all please leave Namek alone? Like, they gave up Dende, someone of their family to go to Earth. Like, they're giving y'all so much. The Dragon Balls, all this stuff. The Elder and the Frieza Saga giving Gohan and Krillin this boost in power. All this stuff. And yet, they just died left and right. From Vegeta, from Frieza to his men. The Earth being destroyed. They get a new Earth in the future for that to be invaded, and then non-canon, bro. Cooler comes around, bro. Anyway, I'm sorry, Namek. I really am. Anyway, moving on. I want to get to some of the things I liked about the Frieza saga that I didn't notice, and I want to hit this subject first because I was talking about him last saga in the Saiyan saga. Someone who annoyed me, and it was Gohan. I said I understood how young he was. That's why he was crying and all that stuff. But I did say that that whining got annoying after a while. It was like, okay, I get it. He's a kid, but can you stop? At least stop with the whining. But I let that go because he is a child. I think he was like 5 or something in the Saiyan saga. But one thing I do love is his growth because in this Frieza saga, it was like he learned a lot, and I love that. I'm glad they didn't take the same person in the Saiyan saga and brought him to the Frieza saga. No, he learned the situation from Piccolo. He learned from Piccolo's death and his friend's death that he needs to step up. He even stepped up to Chi Chi, which I don't appreciate that. I think you should be respectable to your parents, but I'm talking about his heart to want to help. He wants to be in the front line. I appreciate that. He had a lot of heart in this side from beginning to end, to the point where he was in situations where he could not win. Raccoon, for example. I hate that moment. I ain't gonna front. That bothered, and it still bothers me watching it again. Seeing Raccoon fighting Gohan. It's like, bro, I know these are cold-hearted villains, but I don't think the writer should have wrote Gohan getting his neck broke by a grown man, bro. Gohan like this, Raccoon is, and I was like, you didn't have to. You could have had maybe Raccoon like just knock him down or something, but to break a kid's neck, I don't know why that always made me feel some type of way. And I know they're villains, and realistically, cold-blooded villains don't care. But still, I was so glad when Goku showed up. I wish Goku had more time against Raccoon because I think Raccoon was down to the ground a little too quick for what he did. But back to Gohan, his heart. Like helping the Namekians, like I said, with Frieza's men. And not knowing, because that's the craziest part. I was watching it, I'm like, Gohan has no idea who he's next to. He's next to Frieza. Frieza could have killed him right there, but Frieza was even amused of seeing Gohan saving the Namekians from him and his men. But Gohan didn't care. He just knew he wanted to help. And old Saiyan Saga wasn't doing that. So to see his growth in that, and then the future with the Ginyu Force, he had a little hesitation when Ginyu took Goku's body because it was like he was looking at his dad. But still, when it snapped out of it, he went and fight Frieza multiple times. Actually, yeah. Outside of Piccolo, I think Gohan and obviously Goku, but outside of Piccolo, Gohan had way more heart at facing up against Frieza. He'll get down to the ground, then they'll heal, and he'll be back and powering up. Let's do this again. Even when Gohan thought Goku died, Gohan wanted to avenge his dad. He had a lot of heart in this season, in this saga. I love that. That was one thing I enjoyed. It was enjoyable getting to Gohan scenes because when you go from, like I said, I'm watching the Saiyan saga, not a freak. When you go from one at point A to B, you want to see changes for the good on a character. And Gohan was definitely that. And you know what? Shout out to Krillin because he had moments. Let me not get it twisted. He had moments where his fear was kicking in, and Gohan having more heart than you. Even though, in fairness, Gohan has that Saiyan blood in him, but still, that heart to want to help. Gohan had more than him, but I'm glad, especially now that I'm about to get into the Android Saga, which is still my most hated saga. I love the Android Saga, but I hate it at the same time, and a lot of it has to do with Krillin. But I do appreciate him sticking his neck out more in this one. And what I mean by that is he was willing to tell Bulma, you leave and we'll take care of it. Usually, like if it was the Android Saga, he'll be like, we should get out of here, guys. I don't want to die. I don't want to leave. In this one, he was like, no, I still want to help my friends. Bulma, you take the ship and go. Gohan and I, we'll do this. He risked his neck out trying to hide from Vegeta. Him going to the Elder. His boldness in fighting Raccoon the best way he could. I mean, it wasn't long. What's his name? Gildo, the small Ginyu Force. Frieza. I thoroughly enjoy like when he was revived after being stabbed by Frieza, him trying to get him. And I ain't gonna front. I would have loved to see Krillin's Destructo Disc work once against a main villain. Just once. Because he is always so close. He could have won it against Nappa if Vegeta didn't open up his big mouth and tell Nappa to duck. Frieza, he almost had Frieza. It was like, bro, it was always this close. But, at least shout out to him for more boldness. So that's one thing I did appreciate was the heart of Gohan and that Krillin, for the most part, kept that same energy. Next sagas, well, I'll get to that later. Yeah, I gotta get to this one. This is the one, because he's my favorite character, is Vegeta. First off, I love that the creators built on Vegeta from the Saiyan Saga on. They didn't just write him off and he'll come back like sagas later as a main boss back. I know they built more on his story in the Namek Saga. So after being damaged in the Saiyan Saga, they literally show his recovery, his motivation with the Dragon Balls, his travel to Namek, him steamrolling a nice amount of Frieza's men, all the whole thing. It was literally the Namek Saga could have been Vegeta's saga as well. Thinking about it, seeing this, they really built a lot around it, even showing like his past situations with Zarbon, with the Ginyu Force, even Frieza. If they didn't call it the Namek Saga, they literally could have called the Vegeta Saga. They could. Thinking about it, from the beginning to his death. But yeah, Vegeta, how should I say it? In this saga, it literally goes like this, to like this, to like this again, and all the way down here. He has amazing feats against certain villains, Zarbon, Dodoria, etc. Then, I ain't gonna front, it really felt like the writers hated that Vegeta was on a winning streak. Because then when he fought Zarbon, it wasn't like Vegeta just lost. It was, he got embarrassed first. They lost. It was, I always think about the situation where Zarbon, gets bigger and he's beating Vegeta down. But then I remember when he grabs Vegeta's head and just, doom, doom, doom. And it just kept going. It was like, how does this nigga not have brain damage? A-douche. And then the saddest part is, it went to another scene, and whatever the scene was, it goes back to the scene. Zarbon and still do this. I'm like, bro, watching it again, I'm like, dude, give him a break. And to be real, Vegeta's a trooper, because I don't know how you get headbutted that many times and get right back in the battle to fight. That's one thing about Vegeta. Him and Frieza, they know how to take a beating, because my goodness. But then he gets embarrassed even more against Zarbon. Vegeta, in my opinion, he gets the most embarrassing losses ever in the history of Dragon Ball. Yeah, Zarbon, Frieza, I'll get to that in a second. Android 18, Cell, he probably has the most, because he doesn't just lose. He gets embarrassed. Even non-canon, like DBZ Broly or Bojack, it was, or even Metal Cooler. Vegeta comes in. Vegeta always has the coolest intros and the most embarrassing defeats ever. Bro, I don't like. I know some people told me before that the creators didn't like Vegeta. I didn't know that. But it's not hard to believe when you see some of the stuff. You see some the characters, they'll just lose. It's just over. Or, they'll get a hard beating, but not embarrassing one. Vegeta's will be embarrassing. And I can't even front, as much as I love Vegeta, sometimes he deserved it. Because he be full of himself. The Cell one, he deserved 100%. But that's another saga for a different day. And then, forgot Raccoon. Because Raccoon mocking him the whole time. It was one moment with Raccoon, bro. That dude was a character. There was a moment after Vegeta getting trampled by Raccoon. Vegeta throws a beam at Raccoon and, pushes Raccoon back. And Vegeta's damaged, like, laying on the floor. You hear Raccoon. I never heard this before. I did not. I had to rewind. I was like, wait, what did he say? When Raccoon fell back, he's like, ow. Like, the most trolling ow ever. I never heard him say that before. All these years. He gets it. Vegeta's damaged. Like that. Raccoon gets hit. Ow. like it really did hurt. He just messing with Vegeta. I was like, bro, come on. Why Vegeta, bro? But no, Vegeta's character arc, this saga really showed me why I loved Vegeta. As damaged as he was, as ruthless as he was, as full of himself he was, you saw his true self during the fight with Frieza. And not even when Goku showed up when he's in tears. Before that, I always think about that scene and it gets looked past a lot. But I noticed it much more this time. It was when Goku was being healed in the chamber. And Vegeta wanted to take a nap. He took a nap right in front of, right next to Goku. Before that, he was in a room by himself and he was stressing. You see him going through it because Frieza, all this stuff that's going on, he knows he's going to have to face Frieza soon. And he was, you could tell he was stressed out about it, and you really saw him vulnerable. You saw him vulnerable. He doesn't know if this Dragon Ball thing's going to work. It's a lot hanging on. There's a lot riding on this for the next 10 to 15 minutes. He was stressed at that little second they showed that scene. I thought was really good on his character development. Because after all the pride and the Prince of all Saiyans and all this other stuff, he had a moment of vulnerability, not in front of anybody. He was just, and I thought that was great character development right there. Those few seconds. And then it leads to Frieza. And he had boldness at first. But when Frieza transformed, you saw all pride left. All pride left. That brother was scared on Frieza's second transformation. There was actually a moment for Vegeta, and I hated this, but I understood for the character development when Vegeta up and left the Z Fighters and tried to escape when Piccolo showed up. And I'm like, Vegeta literally running away. That's why when people said in the non-canon Broly movie, when Vegeta was just sitting there scared and didn't want to fight Broly, people was like, that's not real. Vegeta wouldn't do that. He actually would. He did it with Frieza. He tried to run away a couple times. Well, no, he tried to run away one time and Frieza knocked him back over. Like, get your butt back over there. What you doing? But you can tell, like, this saga really showed you how much of a front all this pride and Prince of all Saiyans is. He is not as bold as you think. Maybe now, like, because he's more mature, but back then, it was all a front. It's literally like them dudes who run their mouth when you play a video game, and then when you're like, okay, well, face me, and then they duck away because they're really not good. Or they hang on the threshold of their teammates. They're the last place of their team, where they hang on to the strength of their team. That's how it was, and I like that. It showed more character for him. And then, bro, when he did get that confidence, when he got that Zenkai boost from being damaged, to see that confidence go from here to here in a matter of minutes, bro, maybe less, was so, like, even as much as I watched that scene when he fought Final Form Frieza, it still feels like I just watched it. Because, bro, his attitude from, I'm the Super Saiyan, to sitting there and tears, it was like night and day in 2 minutes, and that still hurts. And you know what makes that scene more memorable and like it gets you in the feels is King Kai's narration in the background because King Kai's watching it all, and the way he describes how Vegeta's pride just got shattered, and he's about to suffer and get a return for all the stuff he's done tenfold. The way he breaks that down, you feel for that because King Kai and he just and the way he explains it, bro. As they show up Vegeta, his arm, and that's what you know. Vegeta's arms just sitting there, and Vegeta, it made me laugh, but I understand where he was coming from. Vegeta kept replaying that one punch that he did to Frieza that didn't hit. He kept replaying that over and over, and he just could not understand until it really registered to him that I'm not good enough, bro. And this is going to hurt. And the fear and helplessness he had with those tears, whoo! And I must say, that to this day is still one of the worst torturous beatdowns in Dragon Ball, maybe cartoon history. I have that, and it just kept going. And like I said, I got the unedited one, so it's like all the blood and stuff. Like, whoo! Like, and I remember, and I thought about it when I was a kid. I used to say, Gohan, Piccolo, Krillin, fight. Now as an adult, I'm like, what the heck are they supposed to do? They are not. Shout out, like again, goes back to what I said with Gohan. Shout out to Gohan. He wanted to help, but Piccolo stopped him. But what were they supposed to do? Really? Vegeta at that moment was probably stronger than all three of them with his Zenkai boost. And you saw what happened. Bro, shout out to Goku, dude. And I know I'm talking about the saga and I'm barely mentioning Goku. And I will, but for me, outside of the transformation, which was the best, and still is the best, one of the best moments in Dragon Ball history. Outside of the transformation of Goku, most of the story for me was based on everybody else. Others had more character arc development. Like I said, Gohan, what did I just say? Vegeta, so on. Even Frieza, I learned more about him, and it had more focus, better focus, I should say, on other characters. Goku, for the most part, outside of the moment that him and Vegeta had before Vegeta died, and the Super Saiyan, everything else was Goku was just there to be the saving grace, to be the hero. Up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman. It was one of those moments like Goku was there. When he fought the Ginyu Force, he was there. He fought Captain Ginyu. He fought Frieza. He was there to save the day. That's what most of Goku's situations was. His biggest moment was the Super Saiyan, which I'll get to that in a second. So that's why you're not seeing me talk about him the most, a lot. Because the Frieza saga, I think it was everybody else. The Nameks, Krillin. Even Krillin was all even base, but yeah, Krillin. But Gohan and Vegeta, I think, had the best character development and story for me. From if you watch the Saiyan saga go right to Frieza saga, Vegeta had the best, and then Gohan, I think, character growth, I think he had, because to put yourself in situations, and that's I already said that already. But yeah, now little side things. I love the Ginyu Force. I don't need, I know I said I want Raditz and Nappa to come back. I don't need the Ginyu Force to come back, even though in Super Ginyu did come back for literally a minute. But I don't need them to come back. They were cool for the moment they was in. It made Jason Burner made Goku look amazing. You know what I'm saying? Captain Ginyu was cool. It was nice to see someone at even play. Well, for a moment, even playing for Goku. Then Goku powered up, and if Captain Ginyu didn't switch bodies, Goku would have won that. But and to think about it though, I remember think about it now. I used to complain how Goku was already damaged. This is when I was a kid. After all that training, he's damaged already with the switch bodies and all that. And he had to be in the healing chamber. But looking at it now, it was a good thing that brother got damaged and was getting healed. Because if he was that Goku fighting Frieza, he definitely wouldn't have had a chance. And even if he turned Super Saiyan in that level before the Zenkai boost of fighting Ginyu, I don't know if Super Saiyan would have worked. Because him damaged, he needed that to fight Frieza. He was already weaker than Frieza with that Zenkai boost, but it kept him in the game long enough. And then that transformation that multiplier of power with turning Super Saiyan really changed the odds for him. But I think if Goku was the same Goku who came to Namek and fought Frieza in that power stage and even turned Super Saiyan, I don't even think Super Saiyan's power would have beaten Frieza at maximum. So that had to happen. Goku needed to get damaged for that Zenkai boost. So yeah. Oh, another thing. This part was weird. I will say this. This was weird. Why didn't they just take Dende to the ship and to heal Goku? Frieza was not paying attention to Dende until his final transformation. Because that's how others was getting healed. They could have easily, Vegeta could have been avoided dying and all that stuff if they just said, Dende, come here, and fly to Goku. Can you heal him real quick? That was something I caught. I think the developers didn't see that coming, or maybe they was thinking about it, but it was like if they fly, Frieza's going to see it and destroy. I don't know. But that was something I caught. But yeah, I like the Ginyu Force. Zarbon I think was cool. I don't think any villain outside of Frieza needed to come back. I think they were cool for the saga and just move on from it. But yeah, the Super Saiyan, it still holds as the best moment in Dragon Ball history. You know, it was cool. I went to a gym not too long ago, and it was cool. They had these guys, they was lifting weights and stuff, and they had Dragon Ball Z played on the screen, and it was that moment when it was being transformed. A lot of guys dropped their weights just watching it, and it was cool because a lot of guys was like my age, and so I was like, we all grew up, we all was the same age when that episode first aired. It was like we all was reliving our childhood. I thought that was cool, but yeah, I love the fact that that scene still holds as the greatest moment in Dragon Ball history. I'd never forget when I first saw it as a kid. I did not know what Super Saiyan was. I didn't read the mangas back then. So it came as a huge surprise to me. But the build up to it, I know Dragon Ball's had a lot of great moments, like Ultra Instinct, Super Saiyan 4, all that stuff. But nothing to this day, Super Saiyan 3, but nothing beats Super Saiyan's moment. And the situation, the build up towards it, that still holds. The one thing I didn't like with Super Saiyan Goku was the way he dragged on fighting Frieza. Like, that's the one thing with Saiyans, bro. Like, you are in a life and death situation, and you talking about, I want to fight you at your max. And then you let Frieza destroy her. I know he didn't expect it, but you should have destroyed him already before then. And then, yeah, it was just like that. I want to fight you at your max and all that stuff. It was like, that's one of the reasons I always was saying, like, I remember when Frieza and I had, Frieza and I was talking about, this was a while ago. It was like, which Saiyan heart would you rather have? Forget power. Which Saiyan heart? I always said Future Trunks. Future Trunks ain't wasting time. He is getting you out of there. And I know people always say, well, his life in the future, it was very terrible, so of course he learned it. Goku's life too. Goku has been through a lot since Dragon Ball. You think he will learn by now? Take care of business. And that was one thing that always, it's not just the Frieza saga, but other sagas. It even, like, they still doing it in the Super, like with Moro. Like, you should have just got rid of Moro. But that's another conversation. But yeah, everything else though, every moment. But yeah, I forgot to mention this. It is not much. Piccolo. Cool and disappointing. More disappointing than anything. Because they went through all that, reviving him, the fusion with Nail, just for Piccolo to have a small, and I say small, cool moment in battle. All it took was Frieza to transform once, and Piccolo was irrelevant. They didn't give Piccolo enough shine of beating Frieza down to have all this build up for. I think, and I always said this for a while now, since the Frieza saga, well, for a while now, even before that, Piccolo's been getting disrespected, just like Vegeta, in different ways, but they still get disrespected. Bro, and it's like in the non-canon ones too. He'll have a shining moment for literally a second, and then it gets taken away, and he gets more shine of being whooped. It was like, you got that fusion with Nail coming in, cracking your, all that stuff, just to get whooped the next episode. Whooped. Where you should have died. If Frieza wasn't playing around, you would have died. And it's like, bro. It's like, come on. I hated that. It's not that I love Piccolo. I just hate how he's written sometimes. And it's like that in the Android saga as well. but that's another conversation. But yeah, overall though, I thoroughly enjoyed. Am I missing anything important? I thoroughly enjoyed the Frieza saga from beginning to end. Oh, it does annoy me sometimes how Chi Chi acts. No, I'm sorry, I take that back. It really annoyed me watching it again because your husband risked his died saving your son. You can't give him some love and care. I know she was there, but it's like, bro, even Krillin's like, you're ignoring your husband. Your husband. Like, why is that's one thing. And I'm glad, like in Android Saga, she softens up a bit. And I understand her son was in danger, but your husband gave his life for him. He's in the hospital for helping again. Saving your son. Your husband's not damaged there because he's just going for a run. No, he was saving the world, which is your son as well. And for her to not, notice that and just focus on study, that gets annoying. But I'm glad like later she gets better with that. But yeah. But no, Frieza Saga. Oh, I love, and I know I didn't talk about him much either. Frieza is still on the Mount Rushmore for me as one of the greatest villains of all time. I have Joker. Okay, here's my Mount Rushmore. I have Joker 1. And it's not really for one. Like, I'm just going to say 4. I was going to have Joker, Vader, Darkseid, and Frieza. Those are my favorite and has still remained. No matter all the different versions, all that stuff, Darkseid, Vader, Joker, Frieza, they still hang there. I don't think there's a villain that comes close to them. Comics, mangas, TV shows, movies, whatever. Those 4 always are the best. Some people might not like that I say this, but that little moment that Darkseid had in the Zack Snyder Justice League was better than a whole movie of a lot of other villains and superhero ones. The presence they give, the ruthlessness, these people, you might not see them do much, but that they could care less about, like, they play a true villain. I know Vader, like, down the line got better, but overall, when it comes to villains, Vader was not to be messed with, even to his own men. How you gonna choke somebody out with a screen, looking at him through a screen? It's like Vader, bro. That dude was something when he did the Obi-Wan show, doing what he did to the kid with the neck. I was like, but that's Vader. But Joker, Vader, Darkseid, Frieza, they are true villains, and they play it well. They written well. They can show up for a second, like how I said, Darkseid is Zack Snyder Justice League, just for a minute, and you felt his presence. And I wish we had a part 2 to see more of Darkseid. But that's the same thing like with Frieza with the Granola art. Frieza was at the end of the manga, and I ain't gonna confirm. I felt his presence in those few seconds more than. What was the villain in that granola art? I forgot his name. I forgot the dude's name. Y'all know I'm terrible at remembering names, but that little bit that Frieza had was better than that villain throughout that whole saga, in my opinion. And yeah, when you can do that, Batman scene and the Batman Robert Pattinson, the deleted scene when Batman was talking to Joker face to face, that scene was better than all the Riddler's ones. And I love the Riddler and the Batman, but that scene talking to Batman in that jail cell was that's Mount Rushmore. When you can make an impact in just a few minutes, yeah. Some villains need a whole movie. When you can do a few minutes, Dark Vader 2, and the Force, the video game. What was that? The Force, the recent one with the guy, the redhead guy. I forgot his name. But that scene at the end with Vader made the whole game. When you can do that, yeah. So yeah, Frieza, shout out to him. He is, and I hope they don't just. I know he was helping with Tournament of Power, but that was for his own good too, if you think about it. But those are characters like Frieza. I hope stays the way he is. Every character don't need to go to the good side. Just saying, these are not real characters. If it was real character, I want everybody to do good. But these are fake, So yeah, overall, thinking about it now and noticing some things that I did notice before that I mentioned to y'all, I like this even more. But the thing is, this was already my best saga. And now that I noticed some more stuff and it was better, watching it the second time, I don't think there will ever be a saga in Dragon Ball that'll be better than this one. This had a beginning, middle, and end. It was no dull moment, in my opinion, of the Frieza saga. Even the little side stuff, like Capsule Corp and all that stuff. It was funny, and it had its moments. tear jerking in some moments, like with Vegeta talking to Goku, all that stuff. The action, oh man, the action, top tier. I miss this art style. To be real, I would not mind if they went back to this old style. Cause I like that one. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. And now, the Android Saga. My worst saga. I love it, but I hate it at the same time. I'll explain when I get there. I gotta finish it. But yeah, I'll talk to you later. Let me know what you think in the comments. What's your favorite saga?